Okay, let's call the meeting to order. Say the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, let's do roll call. Peterson, aye.
Gary and I.
Shabilsky, aye. Grover, here. Okay. We need approval for our minutes from last month.
So moved. Second.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We have a voucher list for February. Need a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve and second's been made. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Report on the water system performance.
Okay, gentlemen, this past month, we had a run on fire hydrants. We had a hydrant repaired on 113th and Ryan Road. Hydrant was hit by a contractor. Had a hydrant repaired on the 6400 block of West Ryan Road. That hydrant was also hit by a contractor. I guess you guys can guess what contractor, but the Waukesha project. We had a hydrant hit on 34, was hit by an uninsured motorist. We put it back together, but I sent the invoice to his home address per the police report. So last week we had a water hydrant hit 8424 South 60th Street. The hydrant guy went around a car that was parked on the road and rolled his van. We've had multiple double-figure valve boxes have been repaired due to the snowplow. The snowplow's hitting them. It's due to the erratic weather hitting them. It's due to the erratic weather, temperature raising and lowering the asphalt, and the boxes aren't going with them. So, had a half the crew attend and participate in the utilities annual safety training, hosted by the city of Muskego. It was a good success. I had crew members attend the MMSD inspection conference hosted by the city of Wauwatosa. We had a frozen lateral that thawed one morning, 3324 West Rawson Avenue in the basement. The owner turned the heat off, and as it got warmer, it thawed in the ice plug. Blew the meter out. The owner was sent a bill for the water meter. And Glenn Beardsley here, he completed the first round of PFAS, the contamination testing for this year, and there were no issues. We come back clean.
Going to make mention we're got going on the Rupert Milky efforts. They finished their program.
Lead and copper inventory. They finished the program, and once we get it downloaded, we can move forward with that. And thanks to our department, Todd Niedermeyer and
GIS department.
I was going to say Todd
GIS.
Niedermeyer and
GIS department.
I was going to say GIF. They've done us a great service, and I'd say we're about 50-60% ahead of the curve with that.
Good.
So, thank you for any questions?
Just one. The homeowner that had the heat turned off when the plug finally went through, did it flood the basement?
It did. We got it. We lost about 6,000 gallons.
All in his basement?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
It's that two-story on the south side. It looks like a two-story business. I don't want to say it's a junk building, but it doesn't look very good.
Yeah,
you know. But they were working there and Good thing they were there.
Yeah, oh. Okay,
And we did turn the water off there, and it won't go on until they have heat in the building.
that's a good idea. It's a great idea. Number 6, we're gonna go to the closed session, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Wholesale public water supply to Franklin 2024, the board may enter closed session pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 19.851E to deliberate upon information, terms, and provision of the potential provision of public water supply to the city of Franklin, its customers in 2024 and beyond, and the potential negotiation of terms in relation thereto, including but not limited to potential amendments to the agreement for Oak Creek to provide water at wholesale to Franklin, potential agreement terms with alternate public water supply sources, including but not limited to the city of Milwaukee, including but not limited to the city of Milwaukee and Milwaukee Water Works, financial analysis study of long-term water supply, and investing of public funds in governmental actions in relation thereto for competitive and bargaining reasons, and to re-enter open session at the same place thereafter to act upon matters discussed therein as it deems appropriate. Is there a motion to do so?
I make a motion to our closed meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, got the vote orally.
Peterson, aye.
Securian, aye.
Shabilsky, aye.
Grosvenor, aye. Motion to come out of closed session.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
You're live.
Okay, water tower design update.
So we collected bids on the water tower and the associated pipe a couple of months ago. Kind of a summary of what happened. So let's start with the pipe work. I will tell you, we got 9 bidders, and the low bid was A.W. Oaks, 1.7 million and some change. A.W. Oaks, 1.7 million and some change, and the high bid was 2.0 and some change. So very, very tight. Like it went from 1753 to 1774. I mean, that's between first and second. Very, very close bid. 1774. I mean, that's between first and second. Very, very close bid. So we did split it up, the bid, and we have the bid spec written such that we could choose however we want. And fortunately, the order doesn't change. But we looked at doing what if we just wanted to go from the water tower north up to Target, and what if we wanted to just go from the water tower south down to St. Martin's. We did look at that. So we did split up differently, and again, fortunately, it doesn't change, but just they're really, really tight bids, so that was good. Feel good about at least the numbers. The
Any restrictions on when they would be able to do the work?
it's not so much of a big deal here, but it comes into effect with the tower. So
I think substantial on the water transmission main was the end of September.
yeah, but obviously we let me finish talking about the tower. So about a month later, we collected bids on the water tower itself, and then we got for a water tower project, we did really well. We got four bids for that. So that's about the most you could even dream to get. There's just not a lot of companies. Was it $6,253,000? The next bidder was $6,524,000 and goes all the way up to 7.7. So again, fairly tight for considering we only got four bidders. So the problem we kind of internally have is the fact that when you add up the low bid for A.W. Oaks and the low bid for McDermott, we're about $1 million more than what we told the PSC that we were going to do our project with. So that creates some issues with rates and some of those kinds of things. That we bid out the pipe work so that we could go north or we could go south. In the meanwhile, and I had to kind of keep the secret, but it is now public, there is a developer looking to develop the south end. So there's you've heard the name John O'Malley. He owns the old the old gas station there on the corner of Loomis, and if you go on up Lover's Lane. So someone is looking at buying several of those properties and turn into apartment complex, multi, some commercial mixed use kind of stuff, that kind of thing. Very, very nice, very, very cool. If you can imagine a high end, when you look out over this vast array of wetlands, it should be pretty nice. So the developer's looking at that. What I'm thinking of doing, and remember that I've got a pretty good sized fan club on folks that live on the west side of the road. I'm thinking let's not go south. I'm thinking I'd like to just run the water south. I'm thinking I'd like to just run the water main north. That gets me within the budget that we had talked to PSC about a couple of years ago, and we can actually make that happen. Now, it may or may not kill the project to the south. I don't know, but what I'd like to see, ask Rupert Milky just to run the water model, make sure that we can still feed. The important thing is we need water up in the air. We need some storage, and if I can still supply what's known as a Strauss site, on the southwest corner of the city, from that by running north to Drexel, then over and down Loomis, north to Drexel, then over and down Loomis, then I would suggest to you that may be the option to go. There's less people I would have to assess for water, knowing that a developer is likely, it's not a guarantee, is likely to happen. If not now, probably will happen sometime. And they would actually build that last leg for us, or at least get us very close to the water tower site. If that's the direction of this board, then I can maybe start working that way. Again, as we mentioned, we're at a couple key positions right now at the city. It's really, quite honestly, just beyond my capabilities to go do all the financing work to go through the effort to get the process done. So both bidders, as tight as the bids were, have agreed to hold their bids for a while so we can contain. I should probably get that in writing because I think March is when they actually run out.
March 15th.
March 15th. But I'm feel pretty confident that both bidders would say not a problem. They'll extend their bid. We may have to have a discussion on completion dates for both projects, especially the water tower, because it puts them into the weird kind of year. They need the perfect conditions to do their coating system. So the project is proceeding. Quite honestly, they probably have problems getting materials anyway at this time of year, ordering materials. So I would like to ask both contractors for another extension, make sure that we can put this off. But I'd like to ask Rupert Milky to do a little bit of a water model, make sure that all works. And if that all works, I think the direction I'd like to recommend to the board is let's not go south, because I anticipate that could get built someday. If it never happens, maybe in 15 years we talk about making that final connection or something like that. But going to the north, but I wouldn't have to assess the majority of the homes that would be affected going to the south. I think would make a lot of people very happy. Not everybody, but a lot of people very happy. And it would get us in under budget to where we could go to PSC and talk about getting this thing done.
Time you talked about seeing about getting the gas station property.
We did. So not only the gas station property, but there's a piece of property behind the gas station owned by Mr. O'Malley. At the time we were looking at all the difference, Mr. O'Malley would not return my call. I made several attempts to contact Mr. O'Malley, called his office. I just can never get his return phone.
So that's off the table.
Yeah. More recently, I was able to actually talk to him about one of those parcels. He was actually thinking about it, but since that time, this other developer came up, and it's not probably much better use for that. So it came up, and it's not probably much better use for that. So.
Got it.
Can you refresh my memory? So the commission accepted our filing for the water tower. They haven't approved it yet, have they?
Yes, we
They
have.
did.
we
So they have
CA.
approved it. So you have the CA. Do you have any obligation in that order if you change North Path? Do you have to go back to them and tell them, hey, we're changing what we told you? Or is it just strictly a cost thing?
The original is this path was shown. We're just taking.
Okay, so it was
part
an
of it off.
alternate. It was an alternate that you showed.
I think at a minimum, we would let them know know what was going on because we wouldn't be exceeding our budget. I don't think they're gonna have.
A little bit to change.
Yeah, better to ask permission and beg for forgiveness later.
And we have, I think normally in a CA you get, what, a year to start construction before it expires? Or what's the expiration date on the CA?
I think we're already beyond a year right now because I think we got that in December of 21, didn't we? December of 21, didn't we?
Get the
I
approval that
don't-
long ago?
Don't recall.
I didn't think it was that long
I
ago.
thought it was in the spring. No.
Was it? Why do I think it was December? I just remember applying in July.
Can you put that down and check that out?
Typically,
This seems
they're,
critical.
Yeah, I'll call, why can't I think of his name? Guy I've been dealing with at PAC, Steve Kellner, is our project manager. I can call him tomorrow.
and I don't know, it might be different for water projects. I have no idea. I just know when we do electric ones, you get a year, or gas, you get a year, and if you don't do it with a year, seek an extension.
I'll find
got-
out about the
You
timing.
got time. The other, I guess the other question then is a political one. Again, I'm not advocating for either candidate for mayor, but when I looked at one of the candidates who's not mayor, he was questioning the water tower. Is this something that we can do all the planning, the commission or the council hasn't fully approved it yet, the spending, and the mayor could, a new mayor hasn't fully approved it yet, the spending, and the mayor could, a new mayor could say, stop this?
Project has not been awarded yet. So yeah, they could. I mean, I don't know if the mayor or the alderman, would have to award it. In
Would it be
theory,
a combination
in
of?
theory, you could have. Yeah. So in theory, you could have the mayor against something. The reality of that happening, probably not likely. Either whoever. I don't know. It's. But the project has not been awarded yet. So
That's right. So even if you did sign contracts, just make sure there's usually regulatory outs in there, or like if the council doesn't approve it, we don't have to pay exorbitant. If council doesn't approve it, we don't have to pay exorbitant fees to exit the contracts, or
No, the council's got to approve the bid, right?
so they've got before you sign it. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, then that covers that. That was my
Okay.
question. All right. Thanks.
So where are we in relation? So where are we in relation to how we're gonna be with this thing versus the election? I mean, what are we gonna get this all done before?
I would feel more comfortable if we had an administrator and finance director to make sure because there's a lot of forms to fill out that
Yeah,
I know
I think
beyond
we
my-
need to stay the course that we're on, and let's find out if we can get that, and if we can make a modification to the system, and whether or not it would change our.
We do. I mean, we're not completely devoid in our accounting department. We do have an interim finance director who's been
Yeah.
there for many, many years. He was an assistant to Paul when Paul was there.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of forms to fill out, but
Yeah.
I know I'd fill them out wrong. So,
I wouldn't want to fill them out, Glenn.
I can tell you that now. I don't want to fill them out. So,
What are you thinking about requesting in terms of additional time? Another 30, 45, 60?
I think we need to maybe talk to.
Time. Another 30, 45, 60?
I think we need to maybe talk to Steve about what's available,
Okay.
what our options are.
Because you now have bids,
We do have bids.
so you're going to be you normally have a limit on when you have to be able to negotiate that.
Right.
Okay.
It runs out in March unless they give me something in writing that they're okay with extending it.
Yeah, but how long is the extension going to be?
Well, we need to talk to Steve Kim at PSC to get an idea first.
It probably says that you could just look at the order and it would tell you.
It's possible.
The order, it'll say right in there, the order expires
I
at this date.
haven't read every
It
single
may not
one.
have an expiration date. Typically, the pressure's on once we get that order because we want to make sure that we don't miss that. And you got to start digging.
Yeah.
And that's all you need to do is just
It's
start
not a-
digging.
Well, then you have a deal with the contractors.
Well, the contractors, from my perspective, is probably a bigger issue. We got a verbal from A.W. Oaks to extend theirs for 30 days already. Well, the contracts that the proposals that they prepared required them to hold their bids for a period of 90 days. So we're really at their beck and call, but is A.W. Oaks gonna flush a $1.7 million contract over another 30 days. $7 million contract over another 30 days?
Pricing will change.
Not if we're willing to move the completion date would be my answer to that question.
Sure.
So,
Is the issue gonna be that they're gonna be dealing with financial changes so that it affect us? We keep on stretching this stuff out and they say, well, we can't do it for that now.
we do.
I'd be more concerned with the tank contractor than I would
Okay.
with the pipe contractor.
Okay.
And the change in the project to only go north would require a rebid,
No. We,
There's an alternate in there?
those are mandatory
Permitted in
alternates. Yeah.
sections.
So we're okay on that.
Okay, I think we have direction on that. No motion needed. I think we have direction on that. No motion needed.
So let's review what the direction is, just for me. What we're gonna do is go back to PSC and make sure we have their blessing. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
to make sure that we don't have a finite time in which to take action.
Okay. And then, what else are we doing?
I'm going to have Rupert Milky actually do a water system model, make sure that it makes sense south. That's the other big question, because obviously if that falls apart, then everything else we need to go back and revisit that. So,
Okay.
and then we'll talk to you next month about what we found out and how we should proceed forward.
And would we do the tower?
That was always the possibility.
So that would make sense to go ahead and do that.
would go ahead.
Because the next thing is we need to get approval for the contract from the
So-
council.
So there's really no reason to put pipe in the ground if there's not going to be a tower.
Yeah.
Especially for the residents that are there's not going to be a tower.
Yeah.
Especially for the residents that are being assessed for it. Would be a little upset about
Be
that.
bad.
I understand that, but you have all these loose ends, you know. It's like, you go ahead and do the pipe because the tower's coming? No, you don't do anything until you get the tower?
I would
So you gotta
suggest
wait till the election.
we'll award both contracts. But it could be that the pipe work would start first because it's going to take a while for the contractor for the tower to get everything going.
We have two people running for mayor, right?
Correct.
Well, his website says that
Stop. Stop. Okay. So you have everything you need?
Yeah, so we have to have a motion on this, right? Or we don't need a motion on this? Currently, a current
There's nothing really to
project that we've
do.
already-
All we're going
Yeah,
to get,
okay.
we got some guidance, and we'll
Got
come
it.
back to next month and
Yep.
discuss our options.
Good.
Okay. That's it on that, correct?
Yes.
Next item is the draft water leaking policy. Remember, you guys got out of here really early last, the draft water leaking policy. Remember, you guys got out of here really early last month, so.
It's payback time.
well, we could have decided this, and we didn't think it was right. We wanted the input. Although I thought Dan would be here again.
So I say I drove the copy with you. This is just to bring everybody else up to speed. We had a high water usage account. We decided that we were going to make some allowance that we were going to discount it to the amount that the PSC would allow. When I talked to PSC, they said really it's up to the board to make a decision. And at the next meeting, you rescinded your previous decision and decided if it was going to set a precedent, you wanted to create a policy. So it set a precedent, you wanted to create a policy. So I gathered input from you. Hopefully I regurgitated that into this policy to reflect your comments. one of your comments was make sure Jesse looked at it before it came. Jesse has looked at it. And then I do have some comments Mayor provided, and Peggy provided, but let me walk you through it. This is a format that we've used for just various other policies throughout the city, but it's kind of a nice way that we know that there's a policy in place, and here's a policy. And PSC would like to see a copy of this when we're done, just so that they know that we do have a policy. If you go to the second page, 5.0 is really where the meat of this starts. Notification of excessive water usage. This just indicates that we already do this. We give them the postcard whenever we have the 24-hour leak that we notice, or when their meter's running for leak that we notice, or when their meter's running for a continuous 24 hours, they get the card. Just let them know that. And then 6. So here's the process that we're going to look at this. So first of all, 6.01, when a customer is aware of the excessive use, customers shall address the issue immediately. Considering the facts that, like, if they received a postcard or they knew about it in May but didn't even try to fix it till August, you can take that into consideration in your decision. So the number 6.02, really, again, it's on them to figure out as soon as they let them know that we are available for some assistance. Note 6 upon resolving the excessive water use, so they have to fix whatever they find. Customer may appeal their water bill, and so I list the information there that their appeal should contain. The dates of when the excessive water happened, the cause of the excessive water, how the defective issues were repaired, and then again, a consent to disclose utility customer information. This is something we ask for people so we can talk about their bill in open session. And then 6.04, they have to make all the payments when they get it. They are required to make that payment. So 6.05, this is where the utility staff, so myself or Mike or someone would have their appeal, and then we would basically evaluate it. So we would talk about, was the meter acting correctly, and we would also try to calculate what a typical water utility bill would have applied to those people. So we'll, if they normally use 1,000 units of water, somehow justify that we think an average bill would be 2,000 units would be a normal bill. So we would try to determine exactly what the excessive part would be. Then we would bring it to you. I think that's what I heard, that you want to have a part in this discussion. So you would consider the timeliness for their corrective actions. Two, again, you consider the volume of the water, of the excessive water usage. Number 3, and I highlighted 20%. Maybe you want to pick a different percentage. So you would look at the excessive water and apply some sort of, say so much of that it really is on you as a penalty, if you will, for having excessive water. And then there's some comments here by, I think this first comment was Mayor Olson. He just noted that sounded strangely to him. Maybe I need to reword that. I'm not really sure how else to reword it, but then his suggested language is in green. The Board of Water Commissioners may adjust the water bill by charging only the net cost of water used, foregoing overhead and additional cost recovery for the subject bill. I'm not sure that's more simple, but I'll let you think about that. Peggy's comment, I'll try to paraphrase it. Basically, she's saying that if we allow a discount, we're really asking all the utility customers to pay for that. And then the next page, the pink portion, I did call Oak Creek, what they do for theirs. They recently made a change, or I shouldn't say recently, they did make a change in their policy. They used to have property. Basically, if they allow it to you one time, then that's the life of the property, that's it. They changed that, so if a couple years later it happens again, you can go through this process again. They have it as an automatic, so the staff they have a procedure in place that at a staff level, that's what they use to calculate the average bill, and then they have a procedure in place that they handle it at staff level, so it doesn't even go to their commission, or now Board of Public Works. So that's just what Oak Creek does. And then 6.07, you have the ability to figure out what you'd like to discount. So I guess you can make comments on any of it, but specifically 6.064, I'd be interested in what your desire is to address it, an excessive charge.
I guess I want to make sure I understand because it seems like there's some wording issues there. I think I get where you're going. If applicable, add the balance of the disputed volume of excessive water. So you're taking the excess over the average bill,
Yep.
and you want a 20% plus the cost of water on top of that, but it says above 20%. That's the part that
So in 3, let's say their normal usage, use round numbers, 100 units of water. So you would, if they had 500 units. So you would take 20% above the normal. So you'd say, okay, 120, you're responsible for it, as if it all went through your meter, and that's what you're going to pay for. So you take the 5, you're trying to figure out what to charge them for.
Oh.
That was the intent. And the mayor...
I thought you were just going to take a 20% adder on the cost of water to anything in excess of their average bill to get at Peggy's question about the overhead costs. So you take the cost of water plus 20% adder.
Okay, I think you're getting to what maybe the mayor was suggesting, is the fact that you'd have to figure out what our real cost. Let's see.
But our real cost, or our cost, is the wholesale price plus overhead. Right?
So we'd have to know what that number, and we could figure that out with the number. I just
But that
don't know if
changes every year.
It changes
Yeah.
every year, yeah.
So why not just say it is, so your normal bill plus 20%, that's what you have to pay. That is,
That's the full rate.
balance will be based off of our cost plus overhead.
16's what we buy, or whatever the number is now, that we buy water from our Oak
Yeah,
Creek.
but we wouldn't put any numbers in here.
Right.
We would say the municipality's cost of water plus its overhead would be the customer's cost.
And once a year or so, we'd have to
Yep.
figure out what that is.
The
yeah.
applicable
Cost.
And once a year or so, we'd have to
Yep.
figure out what that is.
The
yeah.
applicable cost of overhead based.
Because now, let's just say it's, overhead is 15%.
So basically, you're paying 120% of your normal bill at your normal rates.
Yep.
We would tell you what the cost per gallon is based on our wholesale rate plus our overhead,
Correct.
and that's what they have to pay. Okay.
Is everybody else okay with that?
Yeah.
Because that covers all of the city's cost for that particular situation, for whatever that balance is. So using yours of, if there's 380 gallons, or 380 is the number, it's our cost for that 380 plus whatever the overhead cost is.
And I'm sure it's in our annual report to the PSC, what that number is. We can pull that number off of a chart somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think that was very well done.
That'll
Yeah.
make that a whole lot simpler,
Yeah.
though.
Thank you. Okay.
I have one question going back to
Yes.
6.02 under 6, that should the utility be charging a fee for this?
I mean, I take this customer in particular. We've been out there 5, 8 times.
Yeah.
I mean, you send a vehicle out there and a man, it's $45 an hour.
Well, and the plumber doesn't show up for. Well, and the plumber doesn't show up for.
Less than
No cost,
100,
so.
100 and a quarter an hour.
I wrote this way because in the past we've never charged that, but that's a,
Well, we're really fixing this.
yes, we are.
It's just a thought.
Good thought.
That would take the nuisance calls away from the utility, because every time we read meters, you can get anywhere from 20 to 40 people. Well, I didn't know I have a leak, you gotta come show me. You know, and past practice has been, I fixed it, can you come back and see? You know, and it just compounds. I believe there should be at least a one-time.
Any thoughts?
Well, no, I agree. I'm just trying to figure out, it would be really pricey you get rid of a nuisance call, but how much would you need to do that? Because if you charged the true hourly rate you tried to time it up. So if one of your staff is there for an hour and you're gonna charge them, well, $45 an hour, that much for an hour, and you're gonna charge them, well, $45 an hour, that might just be, is that pay and overhead? Is that,
No.
usually there's a rollout fee because you got the truck, or you got, whatever cost of gas, maintenance. You could get really refined on the cost accounting for what somebody should pay. So should you just say it's a,
100.
I'm just asking the question because I don't know the answer. Is that a charge the Public Service Commission would ask us to?
you might have to
Go
have a
for the
rate
effort.
thing. Yep. It might not be possible in the rates.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So we'll leave it out.
It'd be easier to just say we'll come at one time period
Yeah.
and then
Yes.
not go out again.
Yes, I think that's probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, maybe it's just
But is that practical from the
at
standpoint
no
of what we're
cost to
doing?
the customer, the city will come out.
One time?
One time,
Okay.
which is
After that,
clear
what
that
happens?
after
Yeah, exactly.
that,
And then
they
somebody
get
wants them the second time. What happens?
They get charged for it.
Well, yeah. Can you do that? That's the question. Because
Wouldn't it be then part of that balance overhead,
yeah, you could do that.
and then we're charging them, we came out, 3
8
times.
times.
Yeah, you could put it in there plus like $100 a trip or whatever that came out, or 120, whatever the number is.
Sounds like a great idea. I'm just wondering if we have to get that approved through PSC.
Right.
I don't know.
Approved through PSC.
Right.
I don't know. Well, and the other thing is it starts getting harder for you guys to keep track of all this shit.
Right.
Pardon my French for the recording.
That was English.
Yeah.
Leave it alone for now?
We'll leave it as
Leave it open-ended, and if somebody asks, then we can figure
Okay.
out.
Is that practical? Because you're saying you're gonna go out once, that you help them find the leak, then they say that it's fixed.
It's not practical, because you're leaving it, like you said, open-ended. Now, what do you do the next time? Because you're leaving it, like you said, open-ended. Now, what do you do the next time?
Well, on the other hand, your one time you could show them how to look at the meter themselves. Say, hey, look, if you turn off everything in the house, this meter should be quiet. Or, it should not be spinning. If it's still spinning, you didn't fix the leak. That's how you do it.
And you need to contact them.
Practical, but you try to explain that to a 75-year-old or 80-year-old grandma, electronic register. It's gonna go, the spinning is gone.
But if we leave it open-ended and just say one time, that kind of leaves it up to your discretion. If you're taking abusive to you, I've done my one time. I don't.
I mean,
Send Glenn.
God bless Sherry. You should hear her handle these customers.
She's great.
Okay, I'll make the change to one time, and then I'll make the change to 6.064, as we discussed. 100 for the volume, the normal rates, and then the extra, I'll look at the wholesale rate and overhead. I'll try to
Yeah.
find the exact term on the
Plus
PSC
the
report.
overhead, right?
And then I will publish that and we'll let that last customer know what her bill is.
Let us know if she ends up owing more. Let us know if she ends up owing more. I'm just kidding. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, it probably will. It's exactly what's gonna happen. She's gonna end up owing more.
Thank you for your direction. But, and maybe that should be something you actually vote on.
Yeah, the leak policy, as we discussed as in Glenn's discussion.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, we need a motion to adjourn. Motion been made to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.